books. Anne Louise revolutionized weight loss in her New York Times bestseller, The Fat Flush Plan, which many of you are probably familiar with. She is poised to rewrite the rules of nutrition, yet again, in Radical Metabolism. Anne Louise was recognized as one of the top 10 nutritionists in the country by Self magazine, and was the recipient of the American Medical Writers Association Award for Excellence and the Humanitarian Award from the Cancer Control Society. Always ahead of her time, Anne Louise set the pace for new health protocols with breakthrough books that shed a huge spotlight on natural remedies for menopause, the hazards of EMFs, and the environmental assaults from parasites, heavy metals, and GMOs in food. Her newest offering, Radical Metabolism, is a total health recovery book that is designed for those without a gallbladder or who have sluggish fat metabolism and are no to slow losers, suffering from hypothyroid or autoimmune conditions and have over 40 metabolism. It contains secrets that work even faster for those in their 20s and 30s. With over 50 sumptuous recipes, the book introduces a breakthrough 4-day cleanse and a 21-day reboot sure to reignite fat loss and life-changing wellness. And, true to her word, Anne Louise mentions ASEA quite prominently in Radical Metabolism. So let's hear it for Anne Louise Gittleman. It's good to have you with us, Anne Louise. So I'd like to start our conversation today by talking a little bit about your personal health journey. Where did your personal health journey start? What started to pique your interest in nutrition as the pathway to health? Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
You know, it's very interesting when I think about what prompted me to become so interested in health. Certainly nobody in my family that had the kind of interest and passion that I did. But I was named after a paternal grandmother. Her name was Anna. She was my namesake. She died at the age of 42 from a very mysterious disease. And to this day, we don't know what it was that caused her to have type 2 diabetes and Parkinson's-like symptoms. And I think after hearing the story for so many years and really wanting to meet her and feeling so badly that I never had a chance, it motivated me to figure out what the underlying cause of disease was. I always figured there was something out there, we simply weren't looking in the right place. So I've made it my business to look in places that nobody's looked at, whether it's a parasitic problem, a DNA problem, a problem with the environment, maybe a problem with heavy metals, dental infections, parasites, heavy metals, bacteria, virus, nanobacteria, you name it, I've looked there. And I think that that's where a lot of those issues are coming from. We live in a very toxic environment, and unfortunately, this is not your grandmother's environment anymore.
Great. Could you tell us a little bit more about this namesake, health issues, and that sparked your interest generally in nutrition? Can you tell us about your path to becoming the expert in health that you are now?
Well, I never had a real weight problem back in the day, but my skin was extremely sensitive. And I remember thinking that everything I ate somehow showed up on my sensitive skin. And it was only years later, as a matter of fact, last year when I did an extensive DNA decoding, that I learned, as I mentioned yesterday, Rex, that I have 3 out of 4 possible detox pathways blocked. I did my MTHFR, and I'm heterozygous on 677, for those of you that know this. 1298, I'm homozygous. Most of my clients may have 1 or 2 pathways blocked, but not me, I have 3. So I've always had a very strong will, but a very sensitive body. So I couldn't do what other kids did. I couldn't stay up, until 3 or 4 in the morning. I had to go to bed early, I had to eat properly, and now I know why. So I think it was enlightened self-interest that really fueled my interest. And from a very young age, from 14 on, I was interested in anti-aging. I read everything I could from Adele Davis. And back in that day, there was nothing out there. There were lone voices in nutrition. So Gaylord Hauser, Adele Davis, Linda Clark, those were my heroes.
Fascinating. tell us, if you would, how you intersected with ASEA.
Well, it was a divine intersection. It was destiny. I had suffered a concussion in 2007, which was a real downward cycle for me, emotionally and physically, because if you haven't had a concussion, you don't know that you're operating in a different body with a different brain. So it was very disconcerting. I had all kinds of aches and pains, which were actually very related to fascial problems, stuck fascia, which I've come to realize is very important with soft tissue injuries. And so I managed to stumble into a doctor's office. It was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And I saw ASEA lining his shelves. And I said, "What is that up there?" He said, "It's ASEA." I said, "And tell me what it is." "Redox signaling molecules." "And what are those, pray tell?" So he gave me all the literature. I started taking a little ASEA, and I thought this is probably very helpful, but I didn't notice anything really dramatic until I managed to meet Denny Robinson, who was the gal that really inspired me to look at the research. I started using your topical Renew 98. I started using the intensive creams, and I saw a real difference in my total health. And so I became a believer because of what it did for me personally. And to this day, I give out bottles of ASEA to all of my staff, and the difference that it makes is extraordinary.
That's fantastic. So ASEA has become part of your lifestyle, not just another product on the shelf, but an important part.
Because we live in the age of ASEA, don't we, everybody? Because we know your DNA is not your destiny. Your
Can you talk about that a
biology.
little bit more? Your DNA is not your destiny. Tell us what you mean by that.
Because we're all born with certain genetic predispositions. I mean, I came from a highly diabetic type 2 environment, but there's so much that you can do in terms of diet and supplements that can override that. I don't think anything is written in stone. You just have to do the right supplements, and now we have the right supplements with ASEA Via. You have to know your lifestyle, you have to sleep properly, think healthy thoughts, exercise, and it's all about lifestyle, because as I mentioned yesterday, lifestyle is your destiny. So it doesn't matter what happened previously, you can change all that with the right lifestyle environment.
I love that message. The lifestyle is our destiny, not necessarily.
And it's empowering, isn't it?
It's empowering, absolutely, to know that I can make choices that can directly impact my health, and I'm not just victim to the DNA that I inherited and all the negative effects of that.
Genetic predispositions, but you can also affect the DNA of the following generations by making those lifestyle changes now we've just learned. So that's very empowering.
Right. So that's a nice segue into ASEA Via, which is our new
Yes.
product line that we're so excited about. So I was able to talk to you about ASEA Via probably, 4 months ago. I gave you a call and said, "Ann Louise, we have really exciting news. We've been in development and on a new product, a nutritionist product line." And to be honest with you, I was a little bit worried because I knew I was talking to the First Lady of Nutrition, and I was going to show her the ingredient deck and walk through the product, and I really didn't know how she was going to respond. But I knew I was talking to someone with very strong opinions about nutrition. She might have a few things to say. And so we walked through ASEA Via together.
We did.
She was sworn to secrecy, by the way. We had to do a pinky promise over the phone that she wasn't going to let the cat out of the bag. It was really exciting to see the really, really positive response. Can you talk about ASEA Via, what you like about the line, and your thoughts and impressions about individual products, if you'd like to, but generally about ASEA Via and why you think it's a exciting product.
I think it's a standout because I've been a professional spokesperson, brand ambassador for all the top lines in the health food industry. So I have represented the top probiotic companies, so I know a thing or two about probiotics.
Or 3.
Well, 1 or 2 to be exact. But the point being is, that I know an awful lot about probiotics because I met with the Japanese microbiologist. And the first thing I noticed was the amount of CFUs, colony-forming units, in your biome. And I was so blown away that I had to call the formulator. I said, how did you know that less is more when it comes to the microbiome? Because we are now overloading the system with billions, tens of billions of probiotics or different strains that are known as CFUs, colony-forming units, CFUs. And more than what your body can accommodate at any time is less than 10 billion CFUs. So if you take minute dosages like 2 billion CFUs throughout the day, you're getting what your body can natively incorporate, accommodate, and assimilate. So I was fascinated by that. So then I knew that whomever was doing your formulations knew a thing or two or three about nutrition. So I was totally engaged in everything that you did.
Great. That's fascinating. And this was for me, frankly, sort of new territory. I was not taking a probiotic. How many of you have been taking a probiotic before? So quite a few of you. So I'm a little bit behind the times, it looks like, in the probiotic realm. But this idea that there's sort of an ideal range of CFUs for a probiotic to get the maximum effect, and that our product dials in right in that sweet spot is really great.
Because it was a real promotional issue that we were finding with this other company that I launched 10 years ago. So I met with a Japanese developer who said, this is what we've learned. Too many CFUs impact the immune system. It thinks it's being attacked by certain bacteria. So you have to understand that you have to keep it under 10 billion CFUs. So if you take your product, let's say 2 to 3 or 4 times a day, you're way under that amount. So this is good for people with autoimmune issues, and that's a huge selling point.
We're going to talk about Source for a minute. Source was the first product that we launched from the line, and has a unique set of ingredients. Can you talk about what you like about Source as a nutritional supplement?
I like Source because it's food, and I really think that you can take the ingredients, you can just take a capsule and put it in water first thing in the morning, because I regard it as food. It's not a vitamin and mineral to me, it's just food. I love the idea that you use holy basil as one of your formulating herbs, and I love the red algae. I mean, who knew that red algae also contains antiviral properties? Well, somebody at ASEA really knew what they were doing. I like the fact that it has minute dosages of the real targeted ingredients that are the most active ingredients, and I like the fact that it is very basic in terms of what everybody needs. In other words, if you've got people out there that are taking higher dosages of certain targeted nutrients, like more magnesium maybe, or they need more B12 or folate because they have had their MTHFR done, that's fine, let them do that, but they need this as a basic because it is actual food for the cells. This is cellular nutrition. Those other products are not. They have to be metabolized through the liver and the large intestine.
Thank you. So something that Jerem Webb talked about in his lead up to announcing the launch of ASEA was this idea that we really only maximize the potential of redox when we provide our bodies with the nutrition. That's sort of the second component that's absolutely essential. Now, as we take redox, as we take ASEA, our cells are optimized, but then there's that important second step, which is providing our cells with the nutrition that they need. So what advice would you, how important is it to supplement our redox supplementation with proper nutrition? How do those work together in your view?
Well, life is a gigantic redox program, number one. So you have to use all of the ingredients at your disposal to make healthy lifestyle choices. I mean, I like to think of the redox cycling molecules as present in ASEA, the liquid ASEA, as the foundational product. And then the ASEA Via products are simply the foot soldiers, because you need those nutritional elements on a daily basis. Probiotics are the next realm of nutrition. I I mean, we are finding more and more about the importance of probiotics in terms of the brain being a second brain being very important for the immune system. 75 to 80% of your immunity is located in your gut. And it's also very important to have a skinny metabolism because of the nature of certain bacteria that can metabolize calories. So it's hand in hand with a healthy lifestyle as far as I'm concerned. And I also think in terms of the sales potential, that this is the gateway product. I mean, I think you can really introduce people to ASEA by these extraordinary supplements that they may be more accustomed to. And then you can open up the door to the ASEA, you know, the heavy hitter, the mother load, so to speak, in terms of the ASEA liquid redox signaling molecules. I would look at it that way, quite honestly, for people out there.
Isn't that exciting? We now have a product.
It's gateway.
To redox, where sometimes it can be challenging to tell the redox story to someone who's not familiar with the power of redox molecules. But to have a product, a nutritional product that can open that door to redox is really exciting.
I think it's exciting because you've got all those other antioxidants, and we are so assaulted on a daily basis, especially by the electron pollution in the cell phones that every single one of these network marketers has on them today. I mean, that's the most, how should we say this gracefully? It is one of the most important ways that we get assaulted in terms of our signaling, our communication. You get very arrived by EMFs, these low EMFs that are coming from non-ionizing sources, and it's part of life, so I don't negate that. So that's why more and more you need the heavier antioxidants that you can now get. You can get it with the ASEA Via, and you're getting it in LifeMax. I think it's imperative. I'm just delighted with what you've come out with. And if I didn't like it, you know I would have told you so.
I know that's true. Can we talk about skincare for a second? So I know you personally
Sleep in.
Have been steeped in, is that what you said?
Sleep in.
Sleep in. I know that you have had some fantastic experiences with Renew 28. Do you want to talk a little bit about Renew 28 and why you feel like that's an important product, why you use that product personally a lot?
Well, because of my injuries after the concussion, and the concussion was something that happened way back when, but my understanding is that when you don't deal with these soft tissue injuries, and the PTs out there and the chiropractors and the DOs may be able to address this even more expansively, many times the fascia starts to get stuck, almost like petrified wood. So I found that I was having these ridiculous aches and pains because of that fall, because of the compression that it entailed. And I started putting the Renewed 28 on all these different areas, and I do sleep in it every night. I use about a tube. I mean, I'm sleeping head to toe. And I'm finding that it's so helpful in terms of healing those injuries. And it allowed me to cope much better with the aches and pains that I was receiving. So it just seems to me that this is helpful, and I don't know if you can go to, if this is true, but it seems to work with hyaluronic acid in terms of moisturizing, the lubrication in your system. So I'm delighted with that. I use that daily. If anybody gets a little owie, a little this, a little that, we always have some Renew 28. I have it in my purse right now.
All right. Well, we wanted to leave plenty of time for you, our audience, to ask questions to the one and the only Louise Gittleman. And so I've got a mic here, and I will, if you just hold your hand high, I will come out and bring the mic to you, and this is your chance to ask the First Lady of Nutrition any question you want. So let's go ahead. I think I saw this gentleman in the white shirt. I think I saw his hand go up first. I'm going to run up here quickly. Why don't you say your name and where you're from before you ask your question?
Hi Louise, my name is Seb from Australia, Noosa. I have a question for you with regards to, I went through a health challenge early this year and I had some rogue cells that had to be dealt with, and intuitively I was taking a bottle of ASEA a day, and I doubled up on my ASEA Via. I don't know if I was taking too much, but I did that for 6 weeks and I had a 100% recovery, which was extraordinary. Do you think that people in that situation with their health, especially at that level, when the cells are out of control, do you think you can have too much of these for a period of time as a protocol?
Are we just dealing then with the ASEA via the nutraceuticals, or you're talking about ASEA redox signaling?
I took ASEA via, I doubled up, and I was taking a bottle of the molecule.
So the source is what you were taking?
The source is what I was taking, as well as a bottle of the drink.
You know, we're all very individual. It's very hard for me to answer that. I can tell you in terms of the redox signaling molecules, I can only accommodate 2 ounces 3 to 4 times a day. I don't take the regular 4 ounces. So you just have to go with your detox symptoms. And if it's a little too much, then you pull back, because people can get a little nauseous, a little headachy. That's common. That's a good signal. It means that something is happening in your body, and you get down on your hands and knees and say, thank you. But you have to just cut back so your body can take time to kind of recuperate.
Great question.
In regards to people that have had transplants, is there any reason without the body use ASEA, the redox? Is there any reason to use it or not to use it with transplants?
Oh, very interesting. And are we talking about liver transplants, anything in particular, any organ that you're discussing? Just general. I think, again, 2 ounces twice a day would be important. I would just go a little bit more slowly with anybody that has had any kind of illness or injury. Less is more, and that doesn't mean it won't work effectively. It means it may take just a little bit more time.
Let's go over to this side of the room. Hi, Chase. Your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Tara, County from Grass Valley, California.
What?
Grass Valley, Tara.
Put that closer to your mouth.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And thank you. So, general question, in hopes of dropping everything else I take in favor of ASEA line, CoQ10. Is that something that we can drop out? Is that enough that in this product?
So CoQ10 is in your Life Max, as I recall. I don't know what to tell you in reference to that. If in fact you're taking statins, then you may need a bit of a higher dose than what is in the current products. Traditionally speaking, when somebody taking statins or red rice yeast extract, you need anywhere from 300 to 600 mgs. So I might increase that a bit depending upon your use of medications, which may necessitate more of some of these nutrients.
Great. Front row Joe. Name and where you're from.
Jared from Oregon, and I wanted to ask you, I had some people that I had been working with, and they seemed to have better results when they were taking the second dose at about 4:30 or 5 o'clock rather than in the evening, and I was just curious what your thought was on that, but it seemed to really change things up for some people that I talked to.
Taking which product?
The Redux.
You know, the body goes through these acid-alkaline switches, these kind of ups and downs, and I have a feeling that 11 o'clock in the morning and 3 to 4 o'clock at night is when there's a kind of alkalinity, a kind of low. So I think it just provides energy at that time because of circadian rhythms. I personally take things at 4 and 5 myself. It's also an adrenal time, so I think that it's very supportive to do that. You know, timing is everything. We don't know everything there is to know, but some products work better at certain times and other products work better at other times. Surgeries taken at certain times of the month are more successful, certain times of your hormonal cycles. So everything has a reason. The logic is it's an adrenal time where the body probably needs more energy. It's a natural adrenal low.
I'll come back, I promise.
I'm Bonnie from Alberta, Canada, and I have had some insulin-resistant issues, and I'm just wondering how much a person should take of the bio or the life
You know, I don't have a direct answer for that. I might double up on one of those products little by little. Are you dealing with your diet at all in terms of insulin resistance? And you're having enough fat to stabilize your insulin and so forth, and enough protein? Oh, that's excellent. If I say so myself, that's right.
What did she say?
25 pounds less than she's been following the program.
She follows her program. Okay, follows her program.
You know, I'll tell you, I think by increasing the biome first, I would increase the biome and see what your tolerance is. These products are just as new for me, quite honestly, as they are for you. So I don't have a lot of, you know, field experience in telling you what works. But it seems to me because they're food-based, number one, they're lower dose, number two, that you can gradually add more to your regimen as your nutritional dictates and conditions allow.
Hi, Louise. I'm back here.
It's very hard to see up here.
It's okay.
so
I'm straight back from you, but that's okay. So one of the questions, I've actually got two, but one of them, I don't know if you can address or not because that's dealing with humans, but I'm wondering with nutrition with regard to animals, since I know a lot of us kind of technically give the redox product to our animals, do you know if these products can cross over, for lack of better terms, to other mammal systems?
The animal kingdom.
Yes.
I don't see why not, but that's a really good question for corporate in terms of that. These are such minute dosages that are so targeted, I don't see why not.
Okay. My second question is with regard to allergies. I know there's a lot of people out there with different allergies, especially those of us with sensitive systems, and the toxicities and the things that you're talking about. With the product, do you know if there's any kind of allergic reaction that could occur if they're sourced, for example, from a particular product that could cause that, or is this?
That's always a possibility, so little by little you've got to be able to judge that on your own. I'm going to suggest something which is totally kind of outside the box. I've always found when there's a lot of systemic allergies, you look to the adrenals, number one, and many of our practitioners, I think, would agree with me. So you want to shore up your adrenals, your ability to handle stress. And number two, if they're really profound allergies that are fixed allergies, you have to look into the whole concept of parasites. Parasites are very allergy related, especially if you've done a blood chemistry panel and you see high eosinophils and either elevated white blood counts or low white blood counts after a period of time. One of my first books was Guess What Came to Dinner? Parasites in Your Health. And it's still one of my favorite books, but I have to tell you that it is an environmental hazard as we travel throughout the world, as we eat a lot of our raw foods, as we go out to restaurants, as we love our animals as we do. So doing a parasite cleanse once or twice a year would be very helpful to get rid of those allergies in the first place.
What was the name of that book?
The name of that book was Guess What Came to Dinner? It came out in 1993 and I updated it in 2004.
Hi, I had a question as to how this might help children. My son is 15 years old and he is really insecure about his height. And so we had wondered if maybe there was some medical issue, but you know, 15-year-old boy could be just totally hasn't gone through puberty, but he hasn't grown, it seems, in a while, and I wondered if ASEA might be something that could help get something going.
Well, I would certainly give him these nutrients. I would give him the ASEA via source as well as the biome. Life Max, I guess, to some extent. I think the other two are more important. But what I would do if I were you is I would do a nutrient test that you can do through a company like SpectraCell. I think they're out of Houston in the great state of Texas. And that will give you an idea of which particular nutrient is deficient. Oftentimes when there's a failure to thrive among younger children, and I've seen it as well with some teenagers, we see a major zinc deficiency. And I personally have seen that along with magnesium, which is highly deficient in this day and age, as well as iodine, zinc is probably number 3 in terms of the most minerally deficient element that we have. So doing a targeted test to define that would certainly be something that I would look for. You're welcome.
Hello, Louise. I'm Pamela. I'm from Australia. I'm wondering, I'm amongst a group of people and am very aware of the rise in the body attacking the myelin sheath around a nerve that makes it difficult for people for fine motor type things. Can you explain to us how redox and the source nutrients can actually help, and do they, regenerate that myelin sheath to have those connections reconnected? I just would like to understand if that's possible and how would we address that?
Well, you're asking a very targeted question. I can't tell you how the redox signaling molecules in effect would help the myelin sheath, but what I can tell you is that I don't believe that the body attacks itself. That's number one. So I wanted to just talk about that, if I can, for a little bit. And that is that I think when there's something like that going on, you have to look beneath the hood. I like to look under the hood for underlying causes. And I would make sure that there is no heavy metal issue, whether that's mercury or copper, because oftentimes too much copper or too little has been very connected to MS. I would look into the EMF connection as well as the connection with everything that's going on in the mouth, like hidden mouth infections. So I'd get rid of the source of the infection. I don't think the body attacks itself. I think that a virus, a heavy metal, or a bacteria is attacking the body. So that's number one. Number two, finding out the underlying cause of disease, and then using ASEA to rebuild the system on a daily basis. So I'm just taking that to another level, if I may.
Thank you.
Rex, are you here?
Hello, this is Mike from Maryland. I have two questions for you. I know with the redox molecules, they actually go through the blood-brain barrier. Do we know anything about, I have two questions, if the vitamins actually can do that as well? And then is it easier talking to someone that's already on vitamins, like from another network marketing company, or someone that's never been on vitamins at all?
I think that's a loaded question. In terms of what goes through the blood-brain barrier, when I looked at LifeMax and I saw the use of SOD in the bitter melon extract, I got very excited because that actually can penetrate, as well as alpha-lipoic acid will go through the blood-brain barrier. So that would be my supplement of choice. I fell in love with that product. That's number one. Number two, I think I would approach anybody that has the knowledge of nutrition. Those that are already taking may be more sophisticated. Those that are not need to be engaged in the age of ASEA. So I would certainly, the world is wide open. The issue that you have out there is that it's a very competitive arena. Don't you agree in vitamins and minerals? I mean, there's a new vitamin and mineral out there. There's the Herb of the Month Club. I mean, there's just tons of stuff on the internet. You have a lot of salient talking points that no other company can claim.
Hi, I'm Alison from Australia, and again I've got two questions. And I think one of the things that we're finding in Australia is that a lot of anxiety issues amongst young teenagers who are going for their final exams at school. So could you explain of certainly the three new products that we have, which products might be more helpful in helping to address anxiety, to sort of deal with that point?
Anxiety. I would suggest that all three would be very helpful for anxiety. We know that the biome connects very much into the brain and neurotransmitters, so definitely biome. And then of course you want to feed the cells with good nutrition. So anything that will give you magnesium, the right kind of calcium, which is just as important, but not as much as magnesium. You need a 2-to-1 in favor of magnesium, to me is very important. As well as the right kind of oils, which you can find a greater discussion of in the new book, Radical Metabolism. There's one oil, dietarily, which would be very helpful, and that's hemp seed oil. It's very high in the omega-6s that can actually start to repair the cell membrane. So it's a combination of lifestyle factors. So I love the oils, the essential fatty acids. I like the particular nutrients because of the magnesium element. I like the biome. And I think with all that together and the elimination of sugar, which is a real anxiety-producing street drug, then I think that you're in better shape.
Thank you very much for that. The second question is, we are hearing more about the gut being the second brain. Could you elaborate a little bit more on how the health of the gut is going to help the brain function better?
Well, neurotransmitters take place in the gut, quite frankly. And so if you have too much of the bad bacteria, more than 15% of your total bacteria that's pathogenic, you're not making those neurotransmitters. So the idea here is you want an 85% beneficial bacteria to 15% pathogenic. And you can do that little by little with the biome. But I wouldn't just use the biome by itself. I would use that in conjunction with a diet that contains fermented or cultured foods, if you can tolerate them, like your yogurt, your kefir, maybe even some kimchi, some natto, and miso from non-GMO soy. I'm not a big believer in kombucha, by the way. I was on an all-night radio show last night with George Norrie on Coast to Coast, and somebody asked a question about kombucha. And I got all kinds of emails after that. I found, because I'm not a believer in kombucha. I've had too many clients that have used it. Kombucha is made from tea, and a lot of tea out there is a bioaccumulator of fluoride, which is a real problem in this day and age. So I'm not a believer in a lot of teas, not red teas or white teas or black teas or green teas. And all that can be found
Lots of rumbling on that.
Well, yeah. But it can be found in radical metabolism because I think it affects the thyroid. Fluoride displaces iodine. And where do you think we're getting the fluoride? From all this tea that they're promoting. So what can I say?
So it's really bright up here. Poor Anne Louise.
Anne Louise just
really
can't
bright.
see who's asking.
So we've had a lot of representation from Australia here, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I'd like to give the rest of the world a shot to ask questions. Do we have someone not from Australia?
Right here.
I have celiac disease, and everyone on my mother's side, around 20 people, all developed the same kind of allergies within the same few years out of the blue, whereas we never had any of those issues before, and mine were so bad that it led me to end up dying of heart failure, which I'm quick still here, but thanks to see it. But I actually use the Redox instead of an EpiPen. But is there, with the new products that have come out, is there a way for me to be able to completely rid myself of the disease? Is there, and if it goes away, do I have to worry about it coming back? Like how
I could not hear all that because of the proximity. Would you just repeat that, Rex, so maybe to hear that?
You said celiac disease. You've been using Redox to help manage
Repair the
it,
gut
and
lining.
with the new products, how would the potential benefits from the new products to, I guess, situation with celiac disease? Is that? And why did it happen in the first place? Celiac disease.
It's more prevalent now. Celiac and all degrees of gluten sensitivity are very prevalent because of the weed killer Roundup that's used. It's a very high source of glyphosates that can actually do great harm to your intestinal tract. So that's number one. And number two, what I would do is I would certainly use the biome, and you might be able to double that successfully. Little by little, start doubling it up. And then you want to start healing the gut. There are products that are out there that can do that, namely certain kinds of oils. There's one in particular that I might suggest to you, which will sound a little strange, but it's very healing to the gut from the bottom to the top. And that is called pine nut oil, Siberian pine nut oil, very healing to the junctures of the gut. I have found that it has healed problems with erosions of the esophagus, erosions of the stomach, problems with ulcers, ulcerative colitis, GERD, Barrett's esophageal issues, and it's Siberian tiger's pine nut oil. I talk about it in radical metabolism. So if you need to heal your gut, you may have to take some of these oils, not just the biome. So it's a full-fledged program here.
Great. We've still got some time. Do we have an associate from Europe in the audience? From Europe. All right, we have a European, a real live European. question.
Hello, I'm Amanda, and I'm coming from Copenhagen, Denmark. I have a question. You said about the omega-6. I'm taking omega-7. Can you enlighten me in that? Because I think that's very good for me. Can I use that together with Biomic?
Yeah. Yeah, so the omegas are very important because 2 of them are considered absolutely essential. They're the omega-3s and 6s. 7 is not essential. However, it's known to produce collagen in the body. So I'm loving sea buckthorn oil, love macadamia nut oil. I cook with that over high heat and macadamia nuts because they're omega-7 foods. You're doing exactly the right thing. Oils are where it's at. Sugar is poison, fat is back. So that's number 1. But having said that, the omega-6s are very important for skin. So anybody that has skin issues needs to look at omega-6 because it's the structural component of the cell membrane, which is your gatekeeper. So we're talking about cellular nutrition in all of its aspects. Cellular nutrition in terms of all these 3 new products, as well as cellular nutrition in terms of the right oils that can target the myelin sheath and target the cell membranes and regenerate your skin, hair, and nails. And that's where omega-6 and hemp seed oil comes in handy. So my new mantra with all of this is not just less is more, but hemp, hemp, hooray.
He said I could ask the question because I'm 26% British. Anyway, what are some signs of gut issues? How do you know if you have gut issues to work on combating them?
How do you know that you have gut issues? You bloat consistently, you have intermittent diarrhea and constipation, you can't sleep at night, you're not digesting properly, lots of burping, lots of hiccups. And the majority of issues that come into my office and those of my compadres out there really have to do with gut. We're finding that the GI tract is truly under assault. Some of that is because of the way that we're growing our food, some of it is the glyphosates in the environment, and some of it is the GMOs. So we have to really look at our food labels. We've got to really be careful making sure that things are 100% organic, non-GMO, and God willing, glyphosate free.
I'm Mona from Cleveland, Ohio, and thank you for being here. I have a question about digestion and assimilation. Is one of the target areas for ASEA Redox supplement is digestion. Can you elaborate a little bit how that can help and how is that connected? What's the mechanism behind that?
So you're talking about the redox signaling molecules in terms of digestion and assimilation in general. Well, the way that I look at it is that ASEA redox signaling molecules really signal all cells to be healthy on a cellular level. So they don't necessarily differentiate, but what we've seen with some of the genetic testing is it's very helpful for digestion. It seems to affect positive expression on some of those genetic pathways that impact that. So my feeling with all of this is that if you use the ASEA redox signaling molecules on a daily basis, you should also supplement that with the biome. The biome is your aid to digestion. The biome is where it's at when it comes to metabolizing and assimilating nutrients, including calcium, magnesium, and the iodine, which is so deficient.
Hi, thank you for being here. So my question is, I have a lady who has been on the ASEA redox supplement for a little over a year now. She has multiple health issues. Specifically, she's saying it's not working in her body, but I know obesity is a huge thing that she's facing right now. So how does the obesity maybe stop the healing process from happening in her body like she'd like to see it happen?
So this woman is clinically obese, would you say? All right, so the reality is it's harder for all of the organs to work when people are clinically obese. Many people that are obese or overweight or even skinny in this day and age have a fatted liver. They have a fatty liver. There's a lot of non-alcoholic fatty liver syndrome. So you have to defat the liver to be able to assimilate better. And that's going to come with high doses of choline, we know clinically, or using your ASEA Via on a daily basis and maybe twice, even triple the dose to get the choline where it needs to go so it can defat that liver and she can assimilate and utilize the nutrients more effectively. So we've got a lot of, spiraling issues. Nothing is black and white anymore. Years ago, things were a lot easier, but there are a lot of compounding issues out there. The glyphosates are probably the most toxic element that we have impacting your digestion, so we have to overcome that as best we can. Your products allow you to some extent to do that, as well as the oils I've talked about. Second to that, you've got issues with aluminum, more aluminum in the environment than ever before, impacting the brain. And thirdly is the proliferation of EMFs. So all of those things are impacting your system. So whereby less is more when it comes to certain redox signaling molecules, you may have to take just a little bit more of that for those of you that don't have a problem with the detox pathways. It's a challenging and toxic world, Rex. What are we going to do about that? Or drink it in smaller dosages throughout the day as your tolerance allows.
Buenas tardes. Mi pregunta va muy relacionada con la pregunta pasada, es sobre VSO.
My question is quite related to the last question.
Hoy en día está muy de moda lo que es la pérdida de peso, sobre todo porque nos lleva a diferentes problemas de salud.
Today and age we have problems with weight loss because it is also leading to other health problems.
Mi pregunta es, me llama la atención que hace unos momentos comentaba que Via Source aplica como un alimento.
She was really interested in the fact that you said the source is like food supplement your body.
Entonces, mi pregunta es, para una persona que quiere tener pérdida de peso y que se alimenta correctamente en cuanto a proporciones, si toma las 4 cápsulas de Via Source, ¿corre el riesgo de que tenga un incremento de peso?
Okay, what she's asking, her question is, if a person is eating a balanced and healthy diet and they take your 4 pills of source, is there an issue of gaining weight, perhaps?
No, because this is just used metabolically. You're not going to have an issue anyway with this. This is food and very targeted, minute amounts of food that go directly to the cells on a cellular level.
Oh, perfecto. Entonces, ¿está bien 4 cápsulas o hay que bajarle a 2 cápsulas cuando es para pérdida de peso?
So if you're trying to lose weight, are 4 capsules okay, or should you go to 2?
No, I would still take 4 capsules because your metabolic pathways will be even more overused when you're trying to lose weight. And this you're trying to lose or gain weight. I'm trying to understand the Spanish, and I used to know Spanish fluently, and I'm trying to figure this out, and now I lost your train of thought. Is the issue she's trying to gain weight or lose weight?
No, she was just wondering if someone is trying to lose weight, if taking 4 capsules...
Absolutely. They're not going to gain weight on that, and even if you're trying to lose weight, you still need that because it assists the metabolic issues that are going to occur when you're in a weight loss mode.
Última. I promise. He estado últimamente checando mucho del beneficio del magnesio.
I've been watching the benefits of magnesium lately.
Benefits of what? Magnesium, correct.
Mi pregunta es si ASEA Via Source tiene el porcentaje requerido diario de magnesio.
Her question is, does source have the required daily amount of magnesium that you need?
Well, you're getting a targeted dose of magnesium. It doesn't compute to the 400 to 800 to 1,000 milligrams that have been found in clinical studies, but you need to take more on a daily basis, and as well as supplement your diet with foods with high magnesium foods, which is where your greens come into play that you're getting from this source, as well as your almonds, as well as your other leafy greens in the diet. So we know that magnesium is one of the most efficient minerals, but you can easily get that in the diet. Zinc is important, which is where your pumpkin seeds come into play, and even taking an iodine supplement, which you're getting in spades in your algae that are part of 2 of your products here. So I'm very pleased with this.
Okay, I know we have so many people who want to still ask questions, but we only have so much time. I'm so sorry. We've got time for a couple more questions. So here's Cynthia Beck has a question.
Hi, I'm the belly dancer, and my chiropractor has this question for you. He doesn't understand how ASEA doesn't get into the stomach so there's no inflammation. As you know, I told him no, it goes right into the blood. And I have a secondary question where I'm confused if ASEA goes through the water channels of the body, how does it get to the blood? Thank you.
So as ASEA is absorbed directly into the cellular structure of the body because it's innately in the body in the first place. It's almost like attracts like, and I think that it's very easily assimilated. So I want to just address something with you, and that is what I consider something to be the 10 lost rules of nutrition. Are you ready to hear those? Okay, so number 1, you have to eat fat to be healthy. Fat is where it's at. So in addition to taking these supplements, you have to eat foods, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So the foods that are very important are number 1, the omega-6 fats that are deficient in the diet, the healthy, unadulterated omega-6s. Remember that oil that I told you about? Hemp seed oil? Hemp seed oil is number 1 to aid all of your digestive difficulties from your mouth to your bottom. The other one was pine nut oil. Just 1 bottle will do you. And then number 3 is the use of sesame seed oil as well as CLA for weight loss. And you can get that in butter. You can get that in non-GMO, unpasteurized butter and cream. So number 1 is fat is where it's at. Number 2 is you can't eat too much sugar. Even too much fruit is not good if you have to lose weight, because fruit is a high source in this day and age of fructose. We've now learned that fructose is not good if you have a fatty liver. 1 to 2 pieces of fruit a day is all it takes. A half a cup of berries, maybe a small apple or a small pear. Many of you eat too much fruit with the understanding that it's nature's candy. It's not. It still can impact you if you have an issue with insulin resistance. So are you ready for number 3? I think number 3 has to be have 1 big salad a day. And if you do that salad, make sure it has a bitter green. Bitter is very important for digestion. The bitters that you should incorporate into your diet include arugula and watercress. Watercress is magical for weight loss, as I write in Radical Metabolism. And then number 5, if you're going to use salt, use a Himalaya pink salt. You want to use a salt that has all the minerals that will enhance the absorption of all the minerals that you're getting in your products here. So we're on to number 6. Number 6 is don't cook in aluminum or cast iron. Get rid of your aluminum and get rid of your cast iron. Why? Because it can leach into the food. Aluminum can impact the brain. And when you're cooking in cast iron, which is what we used to teach everybody, you're assimilating iron. The buildup of iron has been connected to heart problems, problems with your blood pressure, and problems as well as aging in terms of brown spots on the skin, as well as death. So no more cast iron and no more aluminum. So what are we on, number 7? Well, I can't. I've been up all night, so we're going to go away to number 7. That's what we're going to do right now. Number 7. So you want to make sure that on a daily basis you're drinking purified water. One of the best brands out there is Volvic. I've had all of these tested, loving Volvic water. Number 3, bone broth. The next one, number 8, is going to be bone broth. So if you want to really heal your gut, there's a question about celiac disease. I would get some bone broth. You can make it yourself. If you go out and buy an organic bone broth powder, make sure it is organic. The brand I like to use is one that I mentioned in my book, Radical Metabolism. It's called Kettle and Fire. It's out there all over the internet. And then are we at number 9? Yes. We're at number 9. For all practical purposes, this morning we're at number 9. All right, so number 9 is going to be to take your ASEA Via on a daily basis, your Life Max as well, and your Biome. Of all of those ingredients, to me, you can start increasing the biome until you get to 10 billion units. So that means if there are 2 billion in your servings, you can increase the amount until you get to 10 billion CFUs, which is what the microbiologists say your system can really accommodate. Very important for those that may be dealing with people with autoimmune diseases. And then number 10, last but not least, I think it's important for you in the morning to have a smoothie where you can even open up the capsules of ASEA and put the ASEA source and put it directly in the smoothie, because it's a high source of polyphenols that will enhance the antioxidants of everything you're drinking. And last is number 11, bitter is bad, bitter is better, and coffee, organic, non-moldy coffee is a very good way to lose weight in the morning if you can tolerate the caffeine.
I'm way in the back here, Louise, all the way in the very back. We've only got a couple more minutes, so I've got time for just a couple of quick questions, then we've got to wrap up.
Okay. Thank you for that comprehensive overview too. I appreciate it. I've been hearing about lectins. I mean, I love pumpkin seeds for zinc, things like that. I need to build up my zinc. But then I was told about lectins and anything with seeds and that affecting the gut. So just limits even more. But do you have much experience with lectins?
Yeah, it's nature's way of protecting the plant against invaders. It's a proteinaceous substance that was talked about years ago in terms of the blood type theory. What I can tell you is that a lot of people have problems digesting foods that are high in lectins, like your beans and your grains, so cook them in an Instant Pot if you're still doing grains and beans. That's the best way to cook them. I think it's much ado about not a lot. Nothing. I don't think it's a really big deal for people, quite frankly, if you're cooking your foods properly so that you make them more digestible. If you're concerned about the lectins in tomatoes, you don't need the seeds, and you peel the tomatoes. You would do that as well with eggplant and do that as well with squash. So there are ways of getting around the lectins if in fact you feel that that is an issue. I don't think it's a major issue for most people.
Hello. And could you please put it in basic terms for us? We're getting someone started on the redox supplement and the nutritional supplement, and they've got a busy lifestyle. At what times a day do they take that to get started in the day for their adults and children? So,
well, I would suggest that redox signaling molecules are very basic. They're innate to your body. It's what you were born with. So what you're simply doing is you're assisting nature in producing what it should be producing on its own. And it controls everything on a cellular basis. In terms of what you should be taking, I personally, with my very sensitive system with 3 to 4 detox pathways blocked, do ASEA, redox signaling molecules first thing in the morning. I use 2 ounces. I don't do the regular 4 because I'm a little sensitive. And then I do another 2 ounces at around 4 or 5, as the gentleman in the front row had suggested. He is found to be so helpful. And then I would use all of these other supplements in addition to that, maybe start with the source and then go to bio next, because I think that's so important. Use them with food.
okay, so
It's very simple and it's very basic. And the other thing I must tell you, that if you buy the book, which mentions, of course, ASEA, because we want to make ASEA a household name, you will be invited to come into an exclusive ASEA Radical Metabolism group. And I can answer all of these questions with my staff in real time, much more in depth.
Are you part of that group on Facebook? You should.
Thank you so much, Louise, for your wonderful presentation and for being here for all of us and getting the word out about ASEA. My question is, I understand that all the vitamins are gluten-free, correct? And that you are a big proponent of a gluten-free diet, right? And does that also mean no bread? Like, what are your thoughts on bread and grains in general, besides just gluten-free? Because there are so many of those bad products out there that claim they're gluten-free, but I don't know how healthy they are.
I'm not a big believer in grains, and it's only because I know too much and being the age that I am and see what's going on with people. The way that grains are stored in this day and age, they can become highly moldy. And people are substituting a lot of rice for gluten. Have you seen that out there? And rice is a high source of arsenic. So when I do testing and see people's arsenic go through the roof, we cut out all rice, cut out all grains, and then after 6 weeks, we do a 6-week detox, no grains, we do starchy vegetables, it's not a big deal. We add in back some millet, basmati rice, or organic sorghum. Those are the only 3 kinds of sources of grains that I personally think are easy to digest and are healthy. And all of this information, this is an infomercial now, so get ready, is found in Radical Metabolism, which is a wonderful adjunct to your new ASEA line.
Has everybody picked up their copy of Radical